Welcome to Corporate Governance Platform, brought to you by the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN. I am Funmi Omoburi. ICSAN is a leading recognized professional body in Nigeria dedicated to enhancing the status and practice of corporate governance and public administration. Today on the program, I want to look at transparency and disclosure. And our guests this morning, we have Mr. EMEKA ONUOHA, ACIS, immediate past chairman of the Rivers State chapter of ICSAN. He's also a Port Harcourt-based legal practitioner. He joins us from Port Harcourt this morning. Good morning, Mr. ONUOHA.
Good morning, Funmi. Good morning, listeners. I'm glad to be here again. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much for joining us. With me in the studio is Mr. Kayode Ketefe, FCIS, Head of Research, ICSAN. Good morning, Mr. Ketefe.
Good morning, Funmi. Good morning to you, our guest, Mr. EMEKA ONUOHA, ACIS, and good morning to you, all our listeners.
All right, let's take this message and we'll be right back.
The world is constantly evolving into a knowledge-based economy where skills and competencies constitute the lifeblood of public and corporate governance. You therefore need to empower yourself to fit into this new world by gaining basic knowledge and improving your skill set in the governance-focused disciplines. That is why every aspiring as well as practicing professional in governance field needs ICSAN.
ICSAN. What is ICSAN?
ICSAN is a leading statutorily established professional body dedicated to enhancing the status and practice of corporate governance and public administration. ICSAN members are trained as chartered secretaries and administrators.
Who are chartered secretaries and administrators?
Chartered secretaries are high-ranking governance professionals with a broad base of skills, unique amongst other professions. They are trained in law, finance, accounting, administration, strategy development, and corporate governance. In today's world, chartered secretaries and administrators discharge a wide range of duties and responsibilities, including functioning as chairmen of companies, executive directors, non-executive directors, company secretaries, risk managers, compliance managers, board evaluators, and corporate governance evaluators.
That is interesting. How then do I become a chartered secretary and administrator?
Good. Go to the Institute's website, www.icsan.org. You can also visit the National Secretariat of ICSAN at Plot 6, Elephant Cement Way, Alausa, Ikeja, Lagos, to get full information on how to become members. ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.
There is the corporate governance platform right here. And as I said earlier, we're looking at transparency and disclosure. All right, Mr. ONUOHA, let's begin this way. What is transparency and disclosure?
Okay, thank you, Funmi. To answer your question, let me, for the benefit of those joining this program for the first time, let me explain that is the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria. That is the body that is authorized to issue the Code of Corporate Governance and Guidelines in order to ensure good corporate governance practices in both the public and private sectors of Nigeria. And so it is this Code of Corporate Governance, that outlines the principles which can be applied to different companies or industries, irrespective of their size, growth phase, or company needs. Now, under Part F of this Code, 2018 Nigeria Code of Corporate Governance, principles number 27 and 28 covers transparency and disclosure. And one of the key fundamentals under this part is that the board of every company should establish an investors portal on the company's website, where the communication policy, annual reports, and other relevant information of the company are published both to the stakeholders and to the public at large. And so with this background, I can now go into the question, which is on transparency and disclosure. And so simply put, I can say that both T and D, transparency and disclosure, are the essential elements of a robust corporate governance framework, because they provide the platforms that the stakeholders require to make informed decisions in terms of capital allocations, in terms of investment, corporate transactions, and the performance monitoring of the company. And so transparency and disclosure gives the public, prospective investors, even stakeholders, the platform to know about the company and everything that concerns it, to enable those persons take informed decisions on whether to transact with the company or to continue with them. And so it's very critical under the code that companies must divulge information for the benefit of the public.
All right, great. So let's bring this relevance also to the context of corporate governance.
Okay, just like I said, transparency and disclosure helps put information now in the hands of the public and prospective investors so that they can be able to make well-considered investment decisions based on the information that they get from the company. So by disclosing and making information transparent, the company's corporate governance policies and structures are made available to the people. The people will come to know the company's policies, company's regulations, the set of finances, and everything they need to be able to assess the strengths and weaknesses of the company. And so the code requires that there should be full and comprehensive disclosure of all matters that are material to the investors and the stakeholders, because this is what will help the people ensure proper monitoring of the implementation, and this will engender good corporate governance to be established and enforced by the company. If the people don't know what you do and how you do it, they can't be able to assess your state to be able to know whether they can invest or not invest, they can support or not to support. And so it's key that the people are made to know what the company does, and such information can be accessed from the company's website. And so the code requires that every bit of such relevant information should be displayed on the website for the people to take.
All right. Is it possible to give certain instances or situation desiring disclosure and transparent dealings in governance?
Yeah, there are basically two categories. There are the financial disclosures, there are also the non-financial disclosures. Generally, just like saying, people need to know the company structure. We also need to know the performance rate per annum, per year. How are they doing? People need to know the liabilities. Are they in debt? Are they sound? What is the structure of the company, the control? What's the composition of the board? What are the classifications? Who is the chairman, the MD, executive directors, non-executive directors, independent. So these are the information that the public needs to know. You need to bring them down so that they know who they are dealing with. It is a company that maybe the directors are not pro-people. You will know that people will not like to invest in it. So the code requires that you must divulge this information to enable people to have well-considered decisions. And most importantly, the companies are required to provide this information timeously, consistently, and accurate, so that the stakeholders and the public should know and act on the above. So basically, every operations of the company should be in the public domain to enable people to decide whether to relate to the company or not.
All right. So let's look at financial and non-financial disclosures. Let's look at the difference. Yeah.
Remember I mentioned the financial reporting. These are essential the financial statements of the company, which must be in line with the defined accounting standard. The basic things there are the balance sheet, the profit and loss statement, the cash flow statement, the income statement. These figures should be placed before the people to be able to assess the strengths and weaknesses of the company in terms of numerics. But there are also non-financial disclosures. These are the ones that have to do with perhaps corporate governance compliance. How is the company amenable to the stakeholders? How do you treat your employees, the shareholders, the customers, the community? What about your corporate social responsibilities? What is your response to the environment? Such non-financial disclosures must also include the company structures, the company objectives, social risk and opportunities. That is, you must also indicate the sustainability report, your EC and G, related party transactions and party policy, company policies. So all these fell under non-financial disclosures, which the essence is to guide the people to be able to know the component information of this company in order to know whether to relate with them or not. So basically 2 categories: the money side, which is the financials, balance sheet, profit and loss accounting, income statement, cash flows, and then the non-financial, which has to do with your CG compliance, social risk opportunities, sustainability, related party transactions, company structures, objectives, and policies. Thank you.
All right. What are the harms in not fulfilling the disclosure requirements and ideals?
Okay. From experience, failure to disclose may ultimately lead to the death of organization, the collapse of organization, because this has been witnessed in the Asian financial crisis of 2018. Because the code requires that there must be honesty and accuracy in the information you give out to the company, because it will help the company build trust and foster goodwill among the people, even in times of difficulty and even when things are going well with you. And so it is required that the company must have increased visibility to enable the people to access them. Now, if you hide the information, it then means you're operating in the dark. And if you're operating in the dark, people will be unwilling to associate with you. But if you disclose, it then means you are in the light. And when the light is bright and clear, people will be glad to come with you. So the risk there is that if you don't disclose, that means you have something you are hiding, and people will be wary of you. And in terms of challenges, people will distance themselves from you, because from inception, they did not even understand what you are doing at all. And so it is safer for a company to be on the path of full and transparent disclosure, so that even in terms of challenges, people will say, yes, we know this company and we know how they operate. Their level of ethics is very high, and I will stand by them. And so in situations like that, you will see people that will stand with you. But if you are operating in secrecy, you don't disclose, you are not honest about it, when the challenging time comes, you will be on your own. And so the risk is that ultimately, you will lose all the goodwill, you will lose even the opportunity to get feedback that will help you stand up. And so you suffer things like that of investment, because people don't have confidence in you, access to loan, maybe lack of rebate. And when there is no goodwill, I mean, people are bound to run away from you. And ultimately, the company will close down and die. And so that's a very big risk for a company to take, not to disclose, because ultimately it may lead to its closure and collapse.
All right. Now, still talking transparency and disclosure, the concept of it. How is this concept important in stakeholders' relationship?
Yes, it's very critical. It's not just that it is important, because it doesn't just affect the investors, you know.
Hello, Mr. ONUOHA. Hello, Mr.
Hello, I'm hearing you.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I am saying that the concept of transparency and disclosure in stakeholders' relationship is very, very key. It's very, very critical.
Okay.
It's very, very important, because it affects not just the stakeholders around the company, but it affects the public as a whole. It affects the society as a whole, even the government. Because imagine a big company collapses. Jobs are...
Okay, I guess network issues right there. Okay. Mr. Ketefe, let me come to you. Does ICSAN have any guidance materials on the concept of disclosure and transparency?
Thank you very much, Fumi. Before I answer that question, let me attempt to answer the last question that will not be...
Okay, you want to quickly wrap up for Mr. ONUOHA there. Sorry, go ahead.
When you talk about transparency and disclosure as a key factor in stakeholder relationship, I think this is very, very essential, because stakeholders relationship management essentially centers on optimizing relationship among all entities and among all layers of interest. So if you want to influence their attitude, their decision, their responses for mutual benefit, you have no choice than to adapt to transparency and disclosure. This, you can't win their confidence in the absence of transparent dealing by the director. So transparency exists when information is readily available to other parties. And this will create an informed and communicative environment that is conducive for cooperation among all parties. Thank you very much. Now
great.
to the question, does ICSAN have any guidance material on the concept of disclosure and transparency? The answer is, of course, yes. The concept of disclosure and transparency, as I've said, is a very important concept in corporate governance, and our institute, being a leading voice on corporate governance, regards it as such. The institute has a lot of guidance material on the concept of transparency and disclosure. And let me also add that the training department of the institute also periodically organizes training on the concept. A number of corporate entities have also habitually reached out to ICSAN to train their directors and other senior managers on the essence of the principle of transparency and disclosure. So I will just enjoy other companies that have not been doing so to latch on to this opportunity offered by ICSAN to request for specific training for their directors and senior members of staff. Not only on principle of transparency and disclosure alone, but indeed on all issues in corporate governance. Thank you.
All right, great. Do we have any announcements?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
The first announcement we have for our audience is on the forthcoming 2022 annual conference of the Institute. This is to inform all our members, governance professionals, and members of the public generally that the 2022 annual conference and dinner of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, is scheduled to hold on Thursday, 15th and Friday, 16th of September 2022. The theme of this annual conference is the National Debt Burden, Causes, Effects, and Realistic Economic Solutions. The theme, once again, is the National Debt Burden, Causes, Effects, and Realistic Economic Solution. The venue is Muson Center, Onikon, Lagos. A number of experts, specialists, and seasoned professionals in the field of corporate governance and public administration have been lined up as the speakers and discussants at this event. More comprehensive details about this conference will be given in subsequent announcement. For further inquiries on ICSAN 2022 annual conference, please call Florence on 080 323 69300 080 32 36 9300.
All right, will that be all? Okay, cool.
The second announcement is on the Institute 2022 Roundtable on Corporate Governance. This is to inform our members and other members of the public that the 2022 Roundtable on Corporate Governance is scheduled to hold on Thursday, 28 July 2022. The theme is Corporate Governance Imperative for Contemporary Financial Technology in Nigeria. The theme, once again, is Corporate Governance Imperatives for Contemporary Financial Technology in Nigeria. It is scheduled to hold at 11 a.m. on the said day, and it will be held by virtual method. The speaker is the MD / CEO in Lanks Limited, Mr. Yari Buka, while the chairman is the chairman of ACIS Bank PLC, Dr. Mrs. Ajoli Shedere Awusika. The participation fee is 30,000 naira for members, 25,000 naira for students, and 35,000 naira for non-members. This event attracts 4 credit points. Thank you for listening.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Kayode Ketefe, FCIS, Head of Research, ICSAN. We also thank Mr. EMEKA ONUOHA, ACIS, immediate past chairman of the River State chapter of ICSAN, Port Harcourt-based legal practitioner, also for joining us on the program. That's our bit this morning on Corporate Governance Platform, brought to you by the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN. We'll return again next week, Wednesday, 10:15 a.m., right here on Eco 89.7 FM. I am Funmi Omoburiu. Enjoy the rest of the day.